Spectrum News app.
Top of the hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Allison Walker. Here are some of your top stories in 90 seconds. Former President Donald Trump is returning to the White House. The Associated Press called the race early this morning. He won several key battleground states over Vice President Kamala Harris. The president-elect spoke to a crowd of supporters last night in West Palm Beach. Take a listen.
I hope that you're going to be looking back someday and say that was one of the truly important moments of my life when I voted for this group of people beyond the president, this group of great people.
Inauguration day for Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is set for January 20th. And taking a look across the state of Florida right now, 56.1% of Floridians voted for Mr. Trump compared to 43% for Harris. The areas of Tallahassee, Orlando, and South Florida voted blue, but Osceola and Seminole counties, which voted for President Biden in 2020, flipped red this year by a slim margin. And the two highest profile amendments to Florida's Constitution both failed to pass. Amendment 3 would have legalized recreational marijuana for people 21 and up. Amendment 4 would have made abortion legal in Florida until fetal viability. Only 2 of the 6 statewide ballot measures reached that threshold. All right, that was your news in 90.
Meteorologist Maureen McCann here with you for your weather on the ones. Top of the hour on this Wednesday with the water vapor loop signaling deeper moisture returning to central Florida. We had so many days with dry air anchored in place, but now that moisture is lending to cloud cover and a few showers from time to time. Some of those could be around for the evening commute, but they'll be spotty at that point. Temperatures are going to be warm today, low to mid 80s, feeling warmer with the high humidity. Evening temperatures for the drive home will be close to 80.
In an historic election, the Associated Press confirms that former President Donald Trump has won the presidency once again. We will have team coverage, of course, and results continuing from the Florida races throughout this afternoon. But first, Spectrum News national reporter Sharon Taswell kicks off our team coverage from West Palm Beach.
I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. In the wee hours of this morning, a triumphant Donald Trump declaring victory. Flanked by his family, including his wife Melania, Trump praised the vote.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Trump saying he will help the country heal.
Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body.
Trump also briefly handing the podium over to his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance.
And under President Trump's leadership, we're never going to stop fighting for you, for your dreams, for the future of your children. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
Trump touting what he calls the biggest political comeback in history.
Frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
With this victory, Trump makes history. He's only the second person to win a non-consecutive U.S. presidential term. In West Palm Beach, Florida, Sharon Taswell, Spectrum News.
Sharon, thank you for that report. And people close to the Harris campaign are reacting to the outcome of the election as well. Our Angie Gonzalez shares what they're saying in the aftermath.
No public appearances for Vice President Kamala Harris just yet, but we do expect to hear from her today. She chose not to address supporters at an election night watch party here in D.C. before attendees were sent home early this morning. Now, people from the Harris camp are reacting, among them former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who campaigned for Harris in the last several weeks. She acknowledged we have a new president-elect, although she did not mention Trump by name. She did write on social media that all Americans are bound, whether we like the outcome or not, to accept the results of our elections. Another surrogate for the Harris camp, entrepreneur Mark Cuban, sent over his congratulations to Trump on social media early this morning. Harris called herself the underdog candidate, and she had a much shorter campaign. Hers lasted a little more than 100 days, and Trump began campaigning for this election almost 2 years ago. While timing may have not been on her side, she did amass $1 billion in fundraising before Trump reached that milestone late last month. In Washington, Angie Gonzalez, Spectrum News.
The campaign by former President Donald Trump emphasized many issues, especially the state of the economy. Polling shows jobs and the economy among the leading issues on the minds of voters. And our Jason Delgado joining us now to share data about how Trump versus Harris voters are feeling about the economy. Jason, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And when it comes to a campaign, the reality is that one's perception of the economy, frankly, it's just as important as the reality of it. Moreover, if one candidate is able to speak to those who per se are economically frustrated, well, the race gets just a little bit easier. Now, case in point, back in '92, political consultant James Carville, he famously told Bill Clinton, it's the economy, stupid. Now, AP data shows us that Harris and Trump voters have two dramatically different views of the economy. Take a look. 76% of Trump voters describe the economy as poor. Meanwhile, almost the inverse, 72% of Harris voters called it good, even excellent. Now, let's take a look at the next slide. Here, the AP asked voters to describe their financial situation. For the most part, Harris and Trump voters mostly agree that they're, quote, holding steady in Biden's economy. However, more Trump voters feel they're falling behind, while most Harris voters feel like they're getting ahead. Now, Trump's made a lot of promises when it comes to the economy. Among them, he wants to eliminate federal taxes on tips. He also said he'd like to impose tariffs on all imports coming into the United States. I'm Jason Delgado in the newsroom, Spectrum News.
So let's talk about the state attorney race in the 9th Judicial Circuit. That covers Orange and Osceola counties. Monique Worrell, who was removed from her role as state attorney last year, has defeated current state attorney Andrew Bain.
Justice prevails. Justice prevails in the light of dishonesty, in the light of cheating, in the light of lying, in the light of filing as a Republican and then saying I'm not a Republican, I'm actually a nonpartisan politician whose entire campaign is funded by the Republican Party. The voters are smart and they saw through it and they said no.
Worrell says when she gets back in office, she'll assess what's working and what's not. She says the focus will be to reduce violent crime and mass incarceration. And as we mentioned, Worrell defeated Andrew Bain, who was appointed by Governor Ron DeSantis. Bain sent us a statement saying, in part, quote, I am humbled to be able to serve the remainder of my term. I remain committed to ensuring that our neighborhoods, families, and children are protected. Our coverage of the 2024 election continues in just a little bit, including a wrap of which amendments passed and which did not. Keep it locked here to Spectrum News.